Now, meantime, the president's new tax plan is putting a lot of fiscally conservative lawmakers in a bit of a pickle. That's because the massive tax cuts could, by one account, add $7 trillion to the deficit over the next decade. It's pretty simple math. The government needs money to operate because they already spend too much. If you slash income, presto! You've got a recipe for deficit spending. And the White House plan to offset the difference is very ambitious. We would need economic growth of at least 4.5% to fill the gap. But that's pretty much double what it's at now. So what are the budget hawks to do? Let's talk about it with tonight's brass-finished party panel. She is the correspondent for the Greg Gutfeld Show and a National Review reporter. You're going to be seeing a lot of her. Her name is Kat Timpf, joined tonight by Pete Hegseth, an Army veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan, also a Fox News contributor, and Fox News anchor Julie Banderas, who is the secret to my Thanksgiving weight loss, and I will always love her for it. Welcome back, everyone.
You're welcome. You know, you've kept it off, too, which I'm proud.
I wish
I don't need to hit you again.
With your best mashed potatoes. So, Julie, let's talk about this a little bit, because the thing that concerns me here, I do not like the idea of revenue neutrality. It's actually a very disingenuous term. But if you're spending a lot of money and you're cutting income, meaning if you're giving massive tax cuts, which I love, it is a recipe for disaster, isn't it?
It is. I mean, nobody would say, yeah, I wish I paid more taxes. But unfortunately,
there are some people who say that.
Yes, there are, but they are billionaires. So, I mean, if I was a billionaire, then I would say, yeah, sure, take more of my salary. But the bottom line is that in the past tax cuts under Reagan and under President Bush, that was 1981, 2001, a much different economy. Yeah. So in order to say to the American people, sure, we're going to boost our economy by 4.5%. That's impossible. Although, you know, do people trust that Donald Trump can do that? And I guess the best way to do that is to take a look at how he ran his own businesses. A lot of people had trust that he was such a successful businessman that he, if anybody could do this, it would be him. And that's where, I'm sorry, but the tax returns do come into play. Because if we saw how successfully he did run his business, we know about that one year where he did pay enormous taxes.
Thanks, Rachel Maddow.
Thank you. But, I mean, still, comparatively speaking, for the amount of money he made that year, we don't really know over the course of the past 20 years what he paid. If we knew that he actually did really, really well, maybe people would trust it. He was able to do that to our economy.
You know, but there are some philosophical issues here. But one of the biggest is we have a massive, massive debt. That doubled under President Obama. Yes. And taxes actually went up, and it didn't spur GDP growth. And that's exactly what we have to see. Now, I am one of those people who thinks that you have to cut taxes genuinely across the board, income taxes and business taxes, in order to see some nice, juicy growth. But we can't rely on growth to get rid of those deficits.
Well, we're copacetic on that. I agree. You have to have those cuts, those simplifications, those reductions in order to open up the opportunity for the 3 to 4% growth that we're going to need to make up for this. And that's what Republicans are counting on. Washington doesn't have a taxing problem. It has a spending problem. Yes. It's been spending too much forever. This administration is probably not going to take that on. But I'd rather have at least tax cuts and the willingness to open up the opportunity for businesses to flourish than nothing at all. So this is the Republicans should, if we can't get this done, what can Republicans get done? And you've got to fight things like CBO scoring, which doesn't score dynamically, only scores based on if you reduce taxes, you're going to lose revenue. It discounts growth. Yeah. And suddenly the New York Times...
That's true. It discounts the change over time that an economy would naturally see. But as limited government people, Kat, I mean, it is disconcerting that you say you want the economy to grow, you're fine cutting taxes, I'm fine with that. When are they ever going to tackle spending? What will it take?
They won't. The two parties just spend money on different things. One side wants more in the entitlement side. The other side wants more on the defense. Yes, defense meaning preemptive offense being called defense. But again, this is also only temporary, so people, and especially corporations, might not have as much confidence as they would to spend more if this was something more permanent rather than something that is going to be going away within a month.
Yeah, and that's what the tax overhaul really needs. It's tax cuts that are going to last longer than 4 years or longer than a decade. You can't sunset growth, party people. Let's talk about the left. They have won a big victory against free speech. And that means all of us lose, no matter what side you're on. Controversial conservative speaker lawmaker and author Ann Coulter was supposed to give a speech at UC Berkeley tonight, but now she's been forced to cancel after groups supporting her pulled out of the event for what they say are safety reasons. In a statement to the New York Times, Coulter said, quote, "It's a sad day for free speech. Everyone who should believe in free speech fought against it and ran away." Now, you may recall back in February, Berkeley exploded in violence when another conservative speaker made a trip to campus. That time it was Milo Yiannopoulos, and he never got a chance to speak either. I think, you know, on one hand, Berkeley has done a poor job instructing their police department, you know, the University of California Police Department, to protect these students and arrest people who are inciting violence.
I mean, first of all, UC Berkeley, their administration came out and said we did not disinvite her, we did not cancel her event, we merely asked her to change the date. What is the point?
Yeah, I mean, if you send out wedding invitations
out of session.
But that makes no sense. Protesters are going to be there one way or the other. So if they're concerned about safety, I get it. But inviting her and then saying they didn't disinvite her, but they want to change the date seems like a cop-out to me.
Yeah.
I mean, and also the ACLU even is defending Ann Coulter. If the ACLU is defending Ann Coulter, then obviously UC Berkeley.
You can't spell Ann Coulter without ACLU.
No, apparently not. No, I will say that calling out of safety is the last refuge of a scoundrel.
Yeah.
Oh, safety of the students, safety of the people. Listen, tell your police force to enforce the laws that are on the books.
That means fascists win, by the way.
Of course,
fascists win if they know that throwing bricks and setting stuff on fire and pushing people and punching people, that works. That will silence people, so they're going to keep doing it. It's appeasing fascists.
Appeasing always, that weakness invites more challenge, which is exactly what's happening. They're winning. They push her aside. Those that believe in free speech need to fight back in every step. And you need to demand these police forces, hey, it doesn't matter if you love the speech or don't like the speech. Your job is to defend speech and its ability to happen. And the school is chickening out across the board.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're saying, go move it to another date when, as we said, no one's here.
Yeah, I had a piece today on FoxNews.com opinion talking about this very thing and attacking the NYU professor from, you know, who's a comparative literature teacher who was basically saying, no, there are limits to free speech, especially if it hurts a group of people.
There aren't, though. That's
exactly
not
right.
how the First Amendment works.
Amen.
If you got to read it, though, so that's a little, you know, you got to take the time to read it.
That does take time.
I just don't understand these kids if their biggest problem is, you know, they're freaking out about having to be living in a building where there's like another building where someone they don't like might be saying some stuff they don't like.
Yeah.
And that's their biggest problem. And they're incredibly privileged and their lives must be very wonderful. And they should be just be very grateful that that's the biggest problem they have to deal with.
Yeah, and Elizabeth Warren was right. Don't show up. If you don't like Ann Coulter, don't go to the speech. Bunch of drama queens just looking for a reason to fight with people they disagree with and throw things. And baby, that is not okay. The party panel is returning a little bit later. But first up, President Trump has been a big critic of NAFTA, but he now wants to renegotiate with our neighbors to the north and south. Can he come up with a better deal? Brian Brenberg here to explain next. So much on the horizon. Stay here. Before the break, I asked what is the average length of a flight delay in the U.S.? Is it 41 minutes, 58 minutes, 121 minutes, starring Dave Kendall, or 29 minutes? According to the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, the answer is a whopping 58 minutes. That's way too long. Now, speaking of delays, Delta, the latest entry into the bad PR sweepstakes, after they threw a man off the plane who wanted to use the restroom before takeoff. We've all been there.
Can you help me understand why? We're going to discuss this outside. I need more information, sir.
That's absolutely right. According to witnesses, the plane had been waiting on the tarmac for 30 minutes and was third in line for takeoff when a man informed the crew that he needed to tinkle. A crew member ordered him to sit down, but he refused. So the pilot took the plane back to the gate, reportedly forced all the passengers off the plane, and then they reboarded again without that guy. This, of course, caused 10 times the delay it would have if they had just let the guy go to the bathroom. So I have to ask, have Airlines lost their minds? The party panel is back. Katherine Timpf, Pete Hegseth, and Julie Banderas. Kat, I feel for the guy.
Yeah, me too. Little airplanes are like little tiny police states flying through the sky all the time. You can't do anything. And the whole purpose of being able to throw people off the planes is if they disobey the crew, then they can be considered a security threat.
Sure.
But some guy going to the bathroom, if you see that and you're like, we're going to die. No, you're not. Then you have a problem. You're crazy. What are you supposed to do?
I was in that position when I was pregnant. And they were like, ma'am, you have to sit down. I said, you know what? I'm going to sit down on the toilet.
Yeah.
Number one. And number two, I accept all responsibility for injury if any should occur.
Right, exactly. In case you hurt somebody by going to the bathroom, then yeah, absolutely, you should be held liable. But I don't think that's a thing.
No, man. And today we just heard that United Airlines reached an amicable settlement with the man who was bloodied and taken unconscious.
Amicable $1 million settlement, I'm sure. I fly Delta every week. I love them. They're great. But this is a result of when common sense is completely lacking. They went out to the tarmac first. We're told they were third in line, so they're eminently going to leave. But then they waited for 30 minutes. This guy's like, I gotta go. He tried once. They put him back, and then he tried again.
Should have just let him go.
He's like, I just gotta go, guys. And they've done it in other examples where pilots have said, okay, we're going to wait because 2 people have to go because we've been inconveniencing you by waiting so long. It's actually not that hard. I don't know why the airline.
And it was numero uno. It's not like he was in there for 45 minutes, Julie.
But I don't care if it was number 1 or number 2. I mean, first of all, this guy's complaining. He didn't go out with a concussion or get hit by a stroller. But at the same time, he had to wait an extra 30 minutes before they actually took off. And when you get on a plane, and I just want to say, I mean, just to play devil's advocate here, you are not supposed to move when the airplane's about to taxi.
To Kat's point,
did he call
police state?
But okay, but here's the thing. Did he press a button beforehand? Did he tell a stewardess, I have got to go to the bathroom? Or
they would have come up and said, no, you can't. You'd been like,
but that's a big difference.
What would you rather have? Would you rather have someone leak fluids all over their seatmates?
I understand, but if you if you stand up when you know you're not supposed to and walk, you are breaking the rules.
I've done it.
I mean, but you're breaking the rules.
You've gone.
Of course, yes.
No.
I've gotten up when I'm not supposed to because you just got to go.
Sometimes you got, but I said to them, I accept the risk. I do. Go ahead. This is informed consent. Oh, Julie, Pete, and Kat, thank you guys so much. That was fantastic.
Yeah, we were.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You were really great.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna
nailed it.
Bundle you all together and sell you some sort of security-backed insurance mortgage. Coming up, this weekend marks 25 years since the infamous Los Angeles riots. A new Nat Geo documentary tells a story using never-before-seen raw footage. I'm going to talk to the directors. It's coming up next.